Yes.
Welcome, welcome. Can people sit down? Welcome to the Institute for Human-Centered Design. We have some people who are new to us and some wonderful old friends. We are delighted to be able to share with you a story we've been telling for a long time about the French being leaders on a number of things, but they are certainly leaders on this aspect of smart cities. And an old friend and respected expert, our friend Sylvain from what is now known as Epinay, is really cutting a whole new path on smart cities in Europe. We think we mustn't let Europe be ahead of us. We have got to catch up on this one. And we've got piecemeal, exciting solutions that don't quite get to the full, seamless resolution of accessibility in the public right-of-way. And I think that we see a solution here that we really need to get smart about now. So I am thrilled. I think part of what is so delightful about the work they've been doing is that they have married technology for all to accessibility for those that need it. It's a vision of inclusive cities that just plain works. So we are thrilled to be able to share this. I have actually checked on how long they will be in the room. Let me also introduce his colleague Damien, who is in the front row. They will be here till about 3:30. We have some people who will have detailed questions. I'm happy to report the City of Boston is meeting with them at 3:30. And the City of Boston urban mechanics actually are so interested, they sent 2 people to France recently to visit with him. So we are optimistic that this is not just a story from afar, but a story that has some legs already here in, at least in the Northeast. So Sylvain, thank you so much for coming. It's our great pleasure.
Thank you so much, Valerie.
One second, I just want to make sure we have acknowledged that this is the second of our lecture series, which is the Eliza Kay Forrest Bromfield lecture series. And Eliza was our below staff person, and her family has generously committed resources to support her lecture series in her memory.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Valerie, for giving me this opportunity to present what we are doing now in Europe. And thank you for the IHCD. And thank you for all of you to be here today for this Learn and Lunch. The second point is that I'm sorry for my English, which is very Frenchy. So I'll try to do my best so you can understand what I'm saying, but maybe sometimes you will not. So maybe you can raise your hand and just ask if you want me to say it again in different words. But I have some translator in the room, so maybe we'll figure out with this issue. I will do my presentation, and then we can have some questions according to the different topics I will talk about. But we will start by a little film we just made, which is a kind of a teaser about all what we are doing. So if you are to move, you will have seen a shortcut of what I will do and present later. So it's a short video that we recently made. I'm sorry it's not subtitled, so but we talk and we explain some stuff in this video, so you will have some insights with the video. Thank you. Just 5 minutes, and if it's like, I will start.
You have to imagine, when you're blind, the city is anonymous. There is no signage, no particular buildings or landscapes, and you have to find your way, only relying.
Technical issue. So I will the team try to fix it, but still second try and then
You have to imagine,
again.
when you're blind, the city is anonymous. There is no signage, no particular buildings or landscapes, and you have to find your way, only relying on auditory and tactile cues and landmarks. That's what I do every day.
So let's give up. Technical sometimes doesn't work.
Are you streaming it?
Actually, they try to fix the sound and it's not working. But you'll be able to see the video after it. We will put it on IHCD site. So as already told, I'm Sylvain from France. And so I would just start quickly by explaining who I am and what we are doing with my team in France. So this is for the middles. First of all, I worked as a consultant for different standardization organizations like ISO, SEN, which is the European Standardization Organization, and of course the French AFNOR. I am also the president of the French Association of all the companies that works in the field of accessibility. And we have today about 50 companies gathered to make the things going forward. And I'm also the CEO of Okinea, which is a company that develops solutions and products to make cities more accessible. And just a word that will be useful for the rest of the presentation. Actually, we have 4 companies, 2 that works on digital electronic solutions. One is distribution solution, and another is building work. And so it means we start from tactile walking surface indicator solution to the digital ones, and you will understand what I mean. And today we are about 50 people dedicated to accessibility. We started developing solutions in 1993, so it's been a while now. One of our core competence is developing solutions. So how do we work? We made some 2 or 3 slides about the way we are working, because we are here in the Institute for User-Centered Design. We do believe that to put in the market good innovations, you have to balance 3 pillars, 3 legs actually. The first is the use. Of course, it's the most important point, and we always start by doing some studies about the needs, the use of the people that use the systems. But then our job is to find the best technologies to answer those needs. But still, if you don't have the market, you can have the best solution. If it's too expensive, if it's too complicated, if it doesn't fit to the customer, which is not the user in our case, it will not be implemented. So we need those 3 aspects to be balanced. So, as other designing companies, we start by doing this use analysis. Then we will define how we can answer to those needs. Then we make some solutions, and then we evaluate. And then again, we will do this round and round and round. And what it allows us is to bring each circle after each cycle the biggest value for the end users. Each cycle we bring new features, and we check that they fit with people's needs. So, what is our vision? It was in the presentation. As you all know better than me, today we know that there is about 1 billion persons with disabilities in the world. It's the World Health Organization that gives those figures. So it means about 15%. And today we all talk about smart cities. And we do believe that smart cities is a great opportunity to improve mobility. It's a real opportunity, but at the same time it's a real threat to increase the difficulties, the problems for the people with disabilities to use the smart city. If you don't integrate technologies for all, you will increase the difficulties instead of doing inclusive city. You know, smart city is a mean. Inclusive smart city is the real objective. And we all mustn't forget this objective and not, think about technical stuff. So, I will start with something that it's what's a journey for visually impaired people, and you will understand where I want to go. First of all, you have your white stick or your guide dogs when you start moving out of the city. And then we build cities. We build cities with tactile walking surface indicators, with safe path, with some contrast. And it's a very good point. We build cities that are physically more accessible. But even though you have tactile walking surface indicators, it's like building roads for cars without signage. You have your car, you have the roads, so you can drive safely. But still you don't know where you are and where you want to go. So it's like here, it's a photograph of a highway with no indications on the signage. And it's the same when you walk in the city, actually. Yes. It's like if you are walking in a street with shops, but you have no signage on the doors. You walk in the streets, but every day you don't know if it's a mobile phone shop or a clothes shop. It's what we call the city, the anonymous city effect. If you are visually impaired, you can move every day in a city that you know, but you don't know what is around you. You don't have this signage. And it's the same, of course, for the transportation. It's the same for metro stations. It's the same for pedestrian signals. You don't know if you have the walk or the don't walk sign. Here it's a picture of metro station entrance in New York City. And you can imagine if you don't have any clue about which lane is just around here, and you don't know where's the stairs, where's the entrance. And once again, it's the same for buses. It's a bit long to come. So what I want to say here, to do a quick analogy. Today we have cars, we have roads, good. We have signage, good. And most of us who can drive, we also use a GPS in our car. It's 4 pillars of the way you use and you drive and you move into the cities with cars, okay? So what I was saying is that when you are visually impaired, you have your guide dogs, your white cane. Okay, it's the first step. It's like the car. Then you have roads, like tactile walking surface indicators. You have the safe path you use every day, you already know. But still, you don't have any clue about signage. And you don't have, of course, any kind of help like a GPS for cars. So how can we do to answer those issues? Of course, we started working on the sound. Sound is one of the best ways for visually impaired people to get information. But smart sound, because today in cities, or we are in what we call noisy environments, noise pollution, and like other topics, if you have too many information with the sound, it means you have no information. and you must focus on the good information. So what we have done actually, and we started working on 26 years ago, it's what we call sound on demand, or smart audio signage. We started working on accessible pedestrian signals 26 years ago, and then we developed the same concept for buildings, audio beacons. And firstly, it was just working with a little remote control. So you don't have to find a push button, you don't have to touch the braille on the wall, you just have a little remote control. Very simple, very cheap. And those remote control are given for free to the visually impaired people in France. It's free if you are visually impaired. It's bought by the cities, and then you can get it, and it's a standard all around the country that activates. For example, in France, we equipped something like 230,000 units all around the country for accessible pedestrian signals. And we equipped also about 20,000 buildings, entrances, with this audio beacon that works with this little remote control. So it means when you walk in cities in France, you can automatically activate the accessible pedestrian signals, and then you can activate the audio beacon that will help you to find the entrance of the post office, of your bank, of the library you like to go. And it's something very simple. It's on demand. It means it will give you sound, but just when you need it. Because I'm sure you always fight with citizens, with the noise. Sometimes you need higher sound for APS, but the citizens say, oh, it's too noisy, so put the sound down and we don't want to hear it. It's conflict of use. So those audio signage are now the answer to this, to the signage. Just in Paris, for example, we will be pleased to welcome you there, make you some visits, so do not hesitate to come. We equipped about 13,000 units, just talking about accessible pedestrian signals. It's frozen. Let's go here. Yes, technical issues today. Okay, come back. Okay, good. And in Lyon, in the south of France, where we are based, it's around 8,000 units in the city, just talking about APS. Of course, we started in 1993, so the technologies moved. And today we developed a new APS, and we won a call for innovation of the Department of Transportation of New York City. We had a competition with many American companies, 45 companies, and we were very pleased to win this call for innovation. And I think because of the way we have done the innovation on this question of accessible pedestrian signals, but also with this concept of on-demand, distant activation with remote control, but of course today with smartphone app, you can activate this system. So basically how it works, we install those voice beacons on each side of the crossway, and you can, with your remote control, choose the crossing you want to activate, so no noise confusion between the crossing. So you can select, for example, the 6th Avenue you want to cross, and the two sides of the crossing will talk together with a very high sound quality, with voice information, so you know that walk sign is on 6th Avenue. Maybe you have a bike lane just when you start. So we can give many information to help you to know where you are and to have some clues about what's on your path. And the fact that the two sides of the crossing are perfectly synchronized helps you to create a sound corridor to help you to reach the other side safely. You are not lost when you start crossing. Then I talked about audio beacon, because when you cross streets, it's just a step in your journey. But then maybe you need to use the metro station, the Metro Transit Authority. So we equipped also metro stations with those audio beacons. And for example, here is the Metro of Paris. We installed about 2,000 audio beacons in the whole metro station network. Some beacons are outside just to help the people to find the entrance of the metro and to give them the number of the lines. And then when you go inside, you can find the front desk or the ticket machine with accessible software. Because the Metro of Paris invested in software for ticket machine. So you have to plug your earphone and then it's kind of audio software. But the question was how you can reach this ticket machine when you don't know the station. So we put this audio beacon just above the ticket machine, and the people can find it with the remote control or the smartphone app. And this other solution is called Navigeo EFI. And we developed this solution for noisy environment, like train stations, metro stations. And one of our job actually is to give those audio voice information with a high quality, with a high capacity to be, heard in this complex and noisy environment. And I will not talk a long time about maintenance, but our vision is that those equipments have to be free for the end users. That's why we fight in France for this remote control to be free for the people. The smartphone app we developed are free. And then we work with our customers. And our customers are cities, transit authorities, etc., or building owners. And we have some features because in the past, we worked with cities. They bought the system, but they didn't do any kind of maintenance. So then it's useless. So the question of maintenance, of the quality of the service, is a very strong question. That's why we provide good services to the city's authorities with back office, so they can check in real time, for example, which equipments are on or where they have to do some maintenance. And as I said, just two examples. She's the kind of minister in France for accessibility. And she worked with the association, blind associations, to develop this audio beacon concept with the remote control. And today, as I said, we implemented about 2,000 units in metro stations. And we have now a contract with the French railway company. So every railway station, every big railway station in the city will have this system of audio beacon to give autonomy to visually impaired people. The project for railway station is about 4,000 units. So we have seen that we developed this audio signage, vocal signage concept, and to come back to my comparison with the car, it's like having a real signage on your journey. You walk in the city and you can have voice information all along your path, all along your way. Even though you don't want to go to this metro station, the first time you will pass by it, you will know that here you have an entrance of a metro station. Okay, here, oh, I hear that there is a post office here. Maybe tomorrow I will use this beacon to find the entrance. But the city is not anymore anonymous. The next step, the fourth step, is about GPS. I drive every day, and I use Waze every day. I have my car, I have the roads, I have some signage in the city. But the best thing to reach a new destination is to use a GPS. And for the 26 years we worked on this wayfinding issues for visually impaired people, we thought about this real-time guidance solution that help really the people to go in new places. The question is not about buildings, roads you already know, you use every day. The question is, how can I reach this amphitheater where I have a conference in a new building, in a new campus I've never been, without any help? It's the first time I go here, and I will be fully autonomous. So we started working on this indoor and outdoor GPS for visually impaired people about 4 years ago. And we have done a lot of research and development. So we will, later, we will put a little video of this solution. So you will be able to download it or to see it on the IHCD website. It's about 2 minutes video where you will see a visually impaired girl that works in our company using this audio-based wayfinding app in a university. And what she told us after trying for the first time the solution is that it was a kind of revolution for her to reach a specific room in a university she had never been, without any help, just following voice information. And it's what we called Evolity. So it's what we call the first application that enables indoor location and guidance for people with disabilities. Because we started with the visually impaired people, but we said, and we thought, maybe we can enlarge the people that use our systems. And today, we can say in 2016, this study has been done in 2016, and 72% of people with disability in the world use a smartphone. It was 48% with not smartphone, but just phones. But here we just focus on smartphones. And it's about the same percentage of the global population. And it's in 2016. I think it was about 40% in 2010, 2012. So we see that it's increasing. So what our designer, UX designer, worked on very hard is to define different kind of interfaces according to the needs of the people. So it means you just have one application, but according to your needs, the interface of the application will be different. If you are blind, of course, it will be only based on voice information, step-by-step voice information. If you are visually impaired, you can have visual information with high contrast. We worked also on motor disabilities, people in wheelchair. For example, in airports, we will be able to give them the best route to find their destination, to reach their destination. In other words, it's a turn-by-turn navigation, and it's a real turn-by-turn. It's exactly like your car GPS if you use it. It means if you take the wrong road, we will recalculate automatically your way to bring you directly to your destination. So you can miss a corridor, we will help you, and we will not leave you lost somewhere in the building. Secondly, it's an offline application, no need data. It's 100% embedded in your smartphone. Then it works in the pocket. It's very important, and we worked hard to reach this objective. Because, of course, when we worked with visually impaired people, they said we don't want to have our white stick on one hand, the smartphone, and especially in France, some of our users said, if I go to a train station, to a metro station in Paris, I don't want to have my smartphone on my hand, so anyone can just take it. And I want to focus on my journey, on my path. So it works in the pocket with an earphone. And it was a real challenge to achieve this goal. Of course, it's compatible with VoiceOver and TalkBack because the application works for iPhones and Android phones. And then just a word about Wayfinder. Wayfinder is a kind of consortium that gather many companies that works on audio-based navigation. And the goal of Wayfinder was to define an open standard. So the users will find always the same kind of interface, the same kind of techniques to use this kind of wayfinding indoor navigation app. Because today, I'm sure you all know that there is many startups coming on this audio-based navigation. And here the idea is to guarantee, if you respect the standard, it guarantees to the end users, visually impaired people, that they will be able to use it properly with their smartphone. It's a kind of open standard for end users. And of course, we work hard to say, okay, any company, any project that will work on audio-based navigation should follow the recommendation of this open standard that has been built with end users. And it's very important. So, where can we install such solutions? I have to say, just in complex venues, especially in complex venues. It means museums, of course. And 3 weeks ago, I was in Oman, in Middle East countries. They are building a huge museum of 50,000 square meters. And we talked about with them about this kind of solutions, because maybe some of you came during the presentation of Tactile Studio. They are doing some incredible and great stuff for museums, tactile objects. So the question was, how can we help visually impaired people, for example, to reach those tactile objects? So we are working for museums, metro stations. Of course, it's very important in the mobility chain to be able to give autonomy in metro stations. And today, we are almost about to finish a huge project for the metro of Marseille in the south of France. So once again, you are welcome in France, in Marseille, where the weather is just great and we have the Mediterranean Sea. In 3 months, we will finish this project, and the first step of the project is all the metro of Marseille will be covered by our solution. So it means if you are visually impaired in the metro, you will be able to be guided step by step from the entrance of the metro station to the exit through different stations. And the next step will be, as I said, an application for all. The design for all application. It means according to your needs, we will help you to move in the metro of Marseille fully with full autonomy. And of course, if you are a foreigner, last week I was in Moscow to talk also about this with the Blind Association of Russia. And when I've been in the metro of Moscow, which is huge, you have Cyrillic information. And it's very easy to be lost in this huge metro. So they have some colors, of course, to help you to move in the metro. But still, if I had this kind of application, it will help me to be autonomous with my language, my smartphone, and I can just follow the information and the instructions. Of course, we work on airports, and we will start soon an installation with the airport of Lyon, because it's a challenge for them to give more autonomy to people with disabilities. We have a blind girl working for our company, and I think 2 years ago we wanted to go to Side City, which is an exhibition for visually impaired solutions in Frankfurt, in Germany. So she booked the help desk 2 days before. Someone came to take her at the bus station, bring her to the gate in a specific room, and then they forget her. And the guy arrived half an hour after the plane left and said, "Oh, we are so sorry, we forget you." And so she had to wait 4 hours to take the next one. So we don't want to give you the idea that this kind of solution will completely replace human help. This is not our topic. But sometimes it's better to have the choice between human help and autonomy. And in this case, of course, she said to me, okay, if we implement this solution in an airport, I will be able just to move, maybe to do some shopping, because here they took me directly to the gate. And I had to wait 2 hours and then 4 hours because they forgot me. So I can't do some shopping, I can't go to the toilets on myself, okay, maybe we can do something. Of course, universities, we equipped the Rockefeller University in Lyon, which is Faculty of Medicine, because they have 45 visually impaired people that works for Kine, and it was a great base for end users, a testing phase with them for this university. And the good stuff is that, of course, we can do a mapping of the different buildings in the campus. So the people can move from their bedroom to the amphitheater, to the sports facilities, and use all the campus with this smartphone app. And the people from university said, okay, it's good for the people that work in the university, because we have about 8% of people with disabilities that work in the campus. Then we have some visitors that come for conferences, and they don't know anything about this. In Lyon, we have many strangers, foreigners that come in the university, maybe Chinese people, and they are lost for the first 6 months when they reach here, and it's a real problem. So, of course, malls, hospitals, and office buildings. Just a word about how it works. For what we call the IPS, indoor positioning system, we use iBeacons. So this is little Bluetooth beacons. They work on with batteries, and we install those in the buildings. And it's like satellites. So we do the triangulation with the beacons, and then we can know where you are, and then we will help you to take the right road. But everything is not based on the position. The Bluetooth beacons help us to find where you are, but then it's a question of UX interface. It's a question of how we will deliver the right information in the right tempo. But it's a whole technical topic that, if you're interested in, Damien especially is specialized in indoor positioning systems, and he will be able to talk with you about this technical point. We, as I said at the beginning, if we want those solutions to be implemented widely, it must be quickly done, not too expensive, because we can have the best solution in the world. If it's too expensive, nobody will buy it. So we work hard to have a good process, a quick process to implement those kind of solutions quickly in buildings. And of course, for the customer, for example, the Metro of Marseille, they have an online back office with which they can manage all the metro. They can say, okay, this metro station is closed for 2 weeks, so we will not bring the people here. So you can manage the system. And I'm coming to the conclusion. What does it mean? We worked on 2 levels to give services, to give autonomy to visually impaired people. The first level is not working only with smartphones. It was with this little cheap remote control. And with this little cheap remote control, you can have great services for accessible pedestrian signals. You can find entrances of buildings, of metro stations, railway stations. You can find some points of interest inside buildings, and just with this remote control. And it was important for us to keep this remote control, even though for the project with New York, they said, of course we believe in smartphones. Of course smartphone is a key for mobility. But still 20, 25, 30% of the visually impaired people don't use it or don't want to use their smartphone in a mobility topic. So we have this first step solution. But then, of course, we invested on smartphone apps, and it's the second level of the services we can provide, and it's what I was talking about. It's Evolity, so it's smart signage and information. And of course, we are working to implement the system outside and inside, to have a real-time, turn-by-turn help, to have this real-time GPS. And we do believe that for smart cities, the key is today that you have tools, user equipment. But as I said, we build cities with physical infrastructures. Tactile walking surface indicators, smart signage, etc. And the last pillar of this vision is, of course, the digital information. That's why we used to talk about the digitalization of the world. It's a neologism. I don't know if it's the same in English. Neologism is the way to bring 2 words. And we do believe that the best services, the best autonomy can be provided if we add physical installations, but also digital information. And this is our goal, actually, to bring cities, to bring tomorrow, but today, cities with improved solutions, real solutions, to give more autonomy and to make those smart cities really inclusive. And we can do it. So thank you, and I'll be glad to answer all your questions.
Hi, my name is Shakira Rogers, and I'm actually from the Massachusetts Office on Disability. I wanted to thank you for coming here and using this building as a platform to share some of this amazing knowledge. I have a question regarding implementing the smart solutions within pre-existing buildings. So say a historic museum that was constructed back in the 1850s or something like that. Versus kind of some of the attitudes of different building owners. What has been the biggest challenge of getting different buildings, not necessarily in museums specifically, but what's been the hardest challenge to get some existing buildings to implement this new technology?
You mean technical issues, or how can we convert them?
Yes, so I guess how to promote.
How can we promote those solutions?
Yes.
Actually, we are all responsible for that, and we all must communicate. And this is the chance that Valérie gave me just to present you here what we are doing in Europe and what is now implementing. So the first challenge is communication, because maybe some museums here would say, okay, it seems great, we'd like to test it, we'd like to implement it for our visitors. But if they don't know that this solution exists, they, of course, will not be able to implement it. So it's a collective work, and we used to work with associations. So they are doing this first step to say, okay, today there is some solutions that give us a great autonomy. We'd like you to maybe install it, and then we can do our job later on. And what I said is that we work hard for those solutions to be affordable for the customers, because it's a key to implement and to give those services to the end users. So it's a hard job for communication. And the video we wanted to show you at the beginning here, it's a video from Reuters communication agency, and it's exactly about this topic. We try to communicate widely to say, okay, smart city is good, there is some solutions to make inclusive smart city, inclusive smart buildings. So just look around you what's existing, and maybe we can start something.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. My question is more focused on the remote itself.
Yeah.
So if the smartphone app, if a user is using this remote or app, are they getting that sound directly out of that app or that remote, or are they controlling the auditory controls up on the signage around? So if you're at an intersection, you have two people from different sides of the streets trying to cross simultaneously, who's controlling the sounds and who's controlling the apps and all that?
Okay, so I will just start by the smartphone. With the smartphone, you can have some information inside the smartphone. For example, if I just talk about accessible pedestrian signal, APS, if you come close to an intersection, you can know that you are close to the 6th and the 25th Avenue, for example. And you will have those information in your earphone. So if you want them to cross the 6th Avenue, you can just activate it with your smartphone. Now, if I talk about the remote control, this remote control works with Bluetooth. So we don't have, because in France it's 860 megahertz frequency, which is forbidden in US. So we develop Bluetooth remote control, so we don't have now any problem with the frequencies of the remote control in different countries. So your question was how it works. Do I have some sound or something in the remote control, and how it works when there's two people in the same intersection?
Yes.
First, as I said, with the remote control, you don't have any sound on it. It's just a trigger system. But when you will, once again, if I take my example, when you will come close to the intersection of the 6th and 25th Avenue, you will have a beep, and the next version will have a vibration. So there is something around you with an equipment. And then you can push it once, and you will hear 6th Avenue, 25th Street, 6th Avenue. So when you hear, for example, the 6th Avenue, you can push it again, and it will activate the sound corridor of the two sides. So you will wait for the beginning of the walk cycle. I'm sure here is the same than in Europe. To start crossing the street, you wait for the beginning of the walk cycle. If someone is coming at the same time, it will go to the end of the cycles. It means red, green, red. You will not stop anything. So it means if someone is coming on the opposite side while you are crossing the 6th Avenue and he wants to cross the 25th, he can use the system to activate the 25th. There is no conflict, because if you want to cross the 6th Avenue that the other people is coming in front of you, you can use the same system, because the two sides of the crossing are talking exactly at the same time. So it's clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So there is no conflict between smartphones, remote controls, And once again, you can stop the sequence. If you activate the 6th Avenue, and it will start for maybe 1 minute for the walk sign is on, then don't walk. You can stop the system with your remote control if you don't want it to talk, and if you change your mind, or you can stop the system. But usually when we talk with people that doesn't know something about those kind of solutions, they say, why don't you put all the information on the remote control? So you don't have any noise pollution. Because I will never tell someone to cross the street in a earphone. I need the information to come from the APS itself, because it's the safety reason, that is implemented. And in US, especially with those courts and tribunals or stuff, of course, the responsibility is very important. And again, if I talk about the audio beacons in front of buildings, also, some people said, why don't you tell someone, okay, you reach the post office. If I give this information in the smartphone or in the remote control, still, if you're blind, you doesn't know where's the door. If I tell you in a earphone, you reach your destination, good, but where is the door? So once again, you will need some help. Please, can you tell me where's the door of the post office? I know that I'm close by, but I don't know where it is. That's exactly the purpose of the audio beacons. You can have some information, but at the time, you need audio sound coming from the point of interest you want to reach. It's like a signage. With the sound, you can find the door. And I'm sure sometimes some of the users here use their GPS information. And when the GPS said, okay, you reach your destination, still you don't know where is the entrance of the building you want to reach. So that's why we're still giving sound from the beacons to help the people just to find specifically the entrance or the point of interest they want to reach.
For street crossings especially, does this replace the audio that's triggered just by pushing the request button? Does it, like, I'm a person who has full sight, so I wouldn't have one of those. But so when I just pushed the button, does that also create the sound corridor, or is it exclusively now for the folks who have the remote?
Here we are talking about the habits of the people, the use, the history. In France, we started, as I said, 26 years ago with this remote control. 26 years ago, we had some push buttons. And we had this remote control technology. Today, you can't find any push button anywhere in France but Paris. It means all the users said, we don't want to push those buttons. We just want to push this remote control on my pocket because it's cold today. And I don't want to put my hands out of my pockets. And I don't want to try to find this push button or to hear the locator tone. Now we are coming in North America, where all the people are used to this push button with the locator tone. So we said to New York City when we answered the call for innovation, okay, what we thought when we worked with innovation process to answer this call for innovation, we said, of course we will bring you our vision, which is smartphone or remote control activation of the APS. But we know that some people will still use it, the push button. So our proposal was to say, okay, we will connect our sound corridor with a very good voice in noisy environment to the push button. So you can keep the locator tone, but when you push the locator tone, it will activate our device to have a very good quality sound of walk sign is on 6th Avenue, then don't walk, signal with voice, etc. So we can plug it to the existing push button to improve the use of the system. Do I answer your question? Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm blind, have a guide dog here. Loving your presentation. I am so excited about this, all of your innovations, but I think I need a site visit to Paris. What do you think? So my last time there, I lived in Paris. I was going to say it in French to you, but my accent is so awful that I will not say it to you in French. I lived in Paris 40 years ago. I recently visited, recent is in quotes, 2010. I had no idea where to get a remote control, had no idea this was even possible, or that I did have an iPhone in my pocket, and I wasn't by myself, so perhaps I wasn't looking around too far. Know that I would see any signs that might tell me, go get your remote control at the local post office. So how would a visitor, foreigner, know about all this innovation that Paris and other parts of France have?
Thank you for the question. As I said, and I answered the first question, we can implement the best solutions in the world. We can do the best infrastructures. We can build accessible buildings. If no one gives the information, if no one communicates, we miss something. What I want to say here for your question is that when we work with the city of Paris, we talk with them about communication. Our job is to provide the solution, the physical and digital solution. But we always tell them, please, on your website, communicate about what you are implementing. Communicate about the technical tools that the people that come in Paris can use. So here is their job. We do communication, but we are a small company, so we can communicate instead of Paris. We can communicate instead of 60 cities in France or other cities. We can communicate instead of the metro of Marseille. So we do our job. We have a webzine, we do a lot of communication, but still the customer has to communicate. Now, if I answer your question, first, we try to work with tourism offices. So the first step, sometimes when you go to a new city and you come here as a tourist, you will take some information in the tourist office. And here, if they see you online, they have those remote control. So they can give you one, okay, you stay 3 days, so give us your ID. We will give you this remote control, and when you left the city, please come back and we will return it. So some cities implemented this system. And of course, the smartphone app is free. So the question is how to know it. So once again, it's a communication question. Yes, in front.
It's been an awesome presentation. This is so exciting. I work for a local municipality, not Boston. I'm wondering, do you have a presentation online that I could bring back to the city?
Actually, what I use it, we can share, of course, with you, so you can take it and bring it to some other people and to do this presentation. I think here I'm under camera, so you will be able to show this presentation to any people. And of course, all the material we have here, we can share it to make the system more known. As I said, it's a question of communication, and we try to do it the best we can.
We're currently designing a universally designed playground in the city, and I would love to see beacons there. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I'm wondering what's next. What do you see as the next set of innovations in this area?
Actually, it's a secret. But because we are together, there is no movies, there is nothing, and we can keep the secret. We want to keep this remote control system available for the first step. Then, as I said, we implement, now we have the capacity to implement this indoor positioning system for all to give more autonomy. The next step is to have a complete system turn by turn from inside, outside. It means the next step will be I will use this app from home and I will be guided real time outdoor using the roads, activating the APS automatically according to my itinerary. Then I will use it in the metro. Then I will go outside the metro, I will take a bus. And then I will reach the campus, and then I will reach the amphitheater I want to reach with one unique app. With real-time information. But we are not so far. Valérie, you have a question?
Thank you, Sylvain. Very exciting. I have a question about the reality that the prevalence of sight loss increases dramatically with age. And for many people, it's a simultaneous loss of hearing. So it's that population that is really the largest numbers of people with sight loss, with an extra vulnerability that they may also have hearing loss. So in the United States, over 40 million Americans have hearing loss, mostly age-related. So have you tested how to make this work for people who have a simultaneous loss of hearing acuity or hearing ability? Is that a frontier?
Actually, we work on it because we know that it's a real challenge. That's why, for example, with the smartphone, not all the elder people use a smartphone. But I think in 2, 5, 10 years, elderly people will have their smartphone. And with the smartphone, we can choose the volume of the audio beacons. It means if you are young and you can hear very well and you don't want everybody to watching you when you use the system, you can choose a very low volume. But if you have hearing problem, you can ask the system to talk with very loud level. So we can adapt it. Then about the remote control, we are working on the next generation, and it will have vibration. So it means that when I walk in the city, I will have vibration, so something's around me. So then I can activate feedbacks information. And what I didn't say also is that for the APS or the audio beacons, we can put 5 languages inside. So if maybe tomorrow you will come in Paris, if we equip with this new generation, or you go in New York, if we develop our solution in New York, if you are Spanish language, let's say, user, the APS will give you information in Spanish. Because we use voice and not only jingles, So we are working on those topics. It's not perfect today, but we have some key solutions to improve.
Merci.
Questions?
Oh,
I'm wondering if there's any data collection going on. Do you collect data to see like which intersections are most highly used or which beacons?
It's a nice question. Actually, the system we developed for New York, we integrate a GSM module, which is a connection with a database. And we have some statistics, and we implemented, for example, in Lyon for the metro. So the city can know how many activation triggered by iPhone, how many with Android, how many with the remote control. And you can have some statistics, so then you know where are the hot points in the city. So yes, the city can have some feedbacks about the utilization of the systems. And we have any questions in the middle.
I know you mentioned how important communication is. For the cities that have this sort of technology, what sort of training or courses are available for new users to be able to use this new technology on their own? Like for example, not everyone may have an iPhone, and I understand you need to be able to at least get the app, but if they're very new to it, what resources are available for users to both learn how to use the technology along with learning how to use it on the app as well?
Great question, actually. We used to do some trainings for the customers to do the maintenance, and as I said, it's a key point for the system to work in the time, and it's good to buy, to install, but it's good to make it work in the long term. So we have some modules for example, we made some trainings for how many people in the metro of Paris? 10 people that are doing maintenance every day. We do some trainings for them. Here you're talking about the end users, right?
Yes.
It depends on the way we are working on the countries. Sometimes we work with the associations, we make some trainings for them, and then they can give the information to their members. So here, once again, we can give some videos, some accessible documents to explain. We have a whole documents about the remote control, which can be read by your screen reader or whatever, to give all the information. We try, once again, to give the more information we can to the end users. But here, yes, because it's a change of, it's a new technology, new system. So we try to give information. But on our way to develop the solution, a key point is intuition. It's the easiest way to use it. If you need 3 weeks full-time to learn how to use the system, of course, it's useless. And that's why we don't want to develop a specific device, a specific GPS, for example, a specific device you have to buy to use our solutions. Because now we have those great tools that are smartphones. You know how to use it with VoiceOver. You have your settings. So it will mean we started working on GPS for blind people 10 years ago. But it was a very short specific device, and the people needs maybe 2 weeks to start using it every day. And we don't want this anymore. We want something very simple. That's why we work on apps, free apps, and on a very simple remote control with one button. It's a question of design.
Thank you.
Another question here and in the back.
Hi, this is very interesting. I just want to know how easy is it to install this? I mean, you said it works even indoors and leads people into like different rooms. So I'm just wondering like where this is going to be installed and how is it going to be installed? Is it going to be easy? And is it going to be there every door? What is it going to look like?
So you're talking about Evolity, the indoor wayfinding app.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is how complex, how difficult is it to do the installation?
Yeah.
This is a key point. We work to have a very light process. So it means if tomorrow a metro station has to be equipped, we will come. First, we have to take the maps of the metro station. We will make a short study. We will define the place where we will install those beacons. Okay? And it's very simple beacons. You don't need to wire them and to bring power. They last about 4 or 5 years, and we do the maintenance for the customer, so it's a service. So we take the maps, we will do the implementation, then we have a software part to plug the app to this place, and then we publish it to iPhone and Android platforms. So what I mean is, we have of course, some time to study the place, to check the triangulation technology, but it's quite fast. So for a metro station, the standard one, it's about 1.5 days. It's not 2 months of study with 10 engineers, and we will think about it and make some invoices just to think about the place we will put the beacon. No, it's 1.5 day, so it's very, very quickly done. And for one metro station, how many beacons for a simple one? okay, between 20 and 30 beacons, so it's not a big deal in terms of infrastructure. And that's it. And just something I didn't say about this indoor wayfinding app, Evolity, if you have some warning patterns, if you have some guiding patterns, if you have a ramp, if we integrate those information in the database. So if you are, for example, blind and you use this app, you will hear, okay, go straight on, turn right, guiding pattern on the floor, follow this guiding pattern, warning field, you are in front of stairs, for example. Because, as I said, warning patterns can be used in different situations. You can have a warning pattern in a platform, so you shouldn't go behind, it's better. Or you can have a warning pattern just before an elevator. Here we will give you the information. What is the warning pattern for? So, just to finish the answer, yes, we will take a part of the time to just integrate in the database all the physical tools that will help you to then filter them to give you the ones you need. But the process is quite fast. If it's a museum, it could be a bit longer because if you want to integrate all the museum parts, the objects, and have some information, it's a bit longer, of course. But if it's just about wayfinding, it's very fast.
Just two more questions, sorry.
Okay.
Like, what distance do they need to be installed at, like for it to function? Like, what's the farthest it can be? And if it's okay, like how much would it cost for like just one to be installed? Only if you're okay with it.
So you said how many beacons?
Yeah, at what distance should they be located so that it works well?
Actually, it depends on the configuration. As we said, for a simple metro station, for example, where you just have one platform, two sides to the direction, it's about 25 beacons. In the full station, it means entries, platform, etc. So sometimes you have corridors, and we don't need to put beacons every 2 meters in a corridor because we know that you will enter and go out. So it depends on the configuration of the space. Then talking about the price, of course it will depend on the complexity of the place, how many points of interest do you have here, how is the infrastructure, is it very with metal, and we have sometimes difficulties with metal infrastructures, but just to send the price, it's about $5 a square meter. And the pricing is per square meter, and it's a full service. As I said, if tomorrow the metro wants to buy this service, they will not have to do the maintenance of the beacons. We can manage for it. They pay for a service. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. If I'm not mistaken, you have 3 different interfaces, and one of them was for people with mobility impairments. So does that mean you're identifying the accessible route, either in exterior environments or in interior environments as well? So you'll give like a navigation through the accessible routes?
Yes, exactly. Thank you for the question. We worked on the user interface. So you use your smartphone according to your needs. But of course, the contents, the routes that we will give you are based on your needs. So of course, if you are in a wheelchair, we will not make the route through stairs, for example. We can also make some difference between if you have some ramps. Maybe if it's a very strong one, we can take another route. So yes, we adapt the routes according to your needs. And today we have our designers and Damien are just crazy about this user design and working on the interface and the user-centric design. So more the time will go, maybe more we have more specific, because some people are just doing the Paralympics and they will want to reach this short ramp, but maybe some other doesn't want to use. So, but our challenge is to use, I will launch the word, artificial intelligence. We work on it So you will not have to do many settings according to your profile, but we will quickly learn how you move, where you can pass by, where you can't, and then we will know day by day what are the best routes for you, not for your neighbor, but just for you. This is a very hard topic, and we work with PhD people and laboratories to improve and to put some artificial intelligence on our system.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thinking about the metro stations, especially thinking about the ones in Boston, they're frequently under construction. So how will the system adapt to the fact that getting around in them can change drastically for different lengths of time, and sometimes not something that's very, I want to say planned out. Well, it's planned in somebody's mind, but sometimes to the user it doesn't seem like it's planned.
As I said, maintenance is a key point for those systems, and we know that. So for this indoor positioning system for metro station, we developed a back office, a web back office, and we train the people for the metro station in Marseille, for example, to use this back office. So, for example, if a metro station is fully closed for 15 days, they have work here for 15 days, they can program on the software that next week, from the 18th September, we will close this station for 15 days. So they put it in the back office, and then all the routes will be adapted to this place. Or in one metro station, maybe one corridor will be closed for one day because they are doing it. They have the capacity to change it in the back office. Okay. And then the end user will have a synchronization with their app to get this information, real-time information, and all the routes will be adapted. It's clear? Yes.
Yeah.
Any question? Yeah. So clear. So I was so glad to present what we are doing, and as I said, it's not startup vision. It's not something that we are thinking about maybe in 10 years we will be able to do something. No, it's something we are doing every day now. And of course, we'll be happy to make some projects here. We used to start small project to show how it works, to do some user testing. Next month, it was supposed to be tomorrow, but next month we will do with New York City a big day to do some testing for the APS in 25th and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. We are expecting maybe 25 end users to test the system and give some feedbacks, and we will be very glad to hear, because accessibility is also a cultural question. And we come here as Europeans. Of course, we talk with people here, we read lots of documentation about the way accessibility has been done here, but still we need to learn from the people to adapt our systems to the local culture. We know that, but we will be really glad to adapt. So thank you very much for your attention, and we'll be glad to hear. If you have any question, we are here with Damien to answer specific question. Thank you.
Hello, Anna. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And we worked on a project
Well, I work for the
and now the commuter rail outreach. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, it's what's taking me. I was in the meeting for an hour. Again, something to do with stuff. But yeah. You were in the play? Yeah, like off station, like probably 10 more square. Really big. Because we're subsidiaries here, there were French and American countries who had subsidiaries in France, they wanted I navigated everything in French, that assumed that they should know as my children still, but we're in trouble and getting the word out. My heart my daughter's getting married. September, and I'm afraid I have the money to do this. And I'm getting one of those votes.
Those people's know where they are and where they go. You have to be safe, but also to bring tradition. I have shown mix physical information and digital solutions to bring real access to society for 15% population. It's very important for 40%.